What's up, guys? Welcome to our very first edition and episode of our podcast that we are launching for Albemarle Paper. And so we're calling it Paper Trails, Episode 1 with Nick K. We're not in a fancy studio. We're in the Papermobile out doing sales. And so figured, we could chat for a little bit. And if you guys are watching this or if you guys are listening to this, via our podcast, Paper Trails is going to be a podcast about not only just the paper business, the restaurant business that obviously we're involved in, but just the journey of entrepreneurs and how people have started from the beginning and made their way. And so it'd be a lot of fun. I think it'll give you guys a lot more insight about our company, where we're going, what we're doing, and we'll obviously have some guests on the show, some other entrepreneurs, restaurateurs, a lot of different backgrounds, and so we'll see where it goes. But this is episode 1, and so just wanted to say hey real quick. I have my co-producer here next to me behind the camera. He'll be kind of initiating some questions, and we'll just have a conversation. Nothing is scripted, nothing is planned. We're just gonna have a good time. So, But yeah, maybe we can just start at the beginning. I'd love to tell you guys a little bit more about how we started the company. So it was 2008. I had just graduated from Catawba College. It's a small Division II school in Salisbury where I live and grew up. And so, and back in 2008, as you guys may know, the economy wasn't flourishing and booming. And so, after school, after graduating in May, just started to work for my dad's restaurant. I grew up in a entrepreneurial family. My dad and his 2 brothers have worked in restaurants, and so I kind of grew up around that lifestyle and that work ethic and things of that sort. And so I was just kind of working at the restaurant, making sure that bills were paid. And my cousin, John, he's 4 years younger than me. He was graduating high school, he had gone overseas to play some soccer, and he had just come back doing some rehab from some injuries and things like that. And my Uncle Jimmy had the idea, because my parents owned a couple of warehouses in the Albemarle area already. And he had the idea of maybe it might be a good idea to start a paper company, and sell paper products to restaurants, cups, napkins, to-go boxes, trash bags, aluminum products, anything like that, catering items. And I don't know, I thought it was a brilliant idea. Actually, I remember exactly where we were. It was Thanksgiving of 2008. I was 6 months removed out of college, and I think we were just at dinner, and we had the conversation. I thought it was a great idea. He said, "Why don't you and my son, start this business?" And I thought it was great. I thought it was a fantastic idea. We obviously knew restaurants. That was kind of something that we were familiar with, and so now we're just vertically aligning ourselves with something that we already knew, and so we would just supply restaurants. Plus, we're Greek. I don't know if you guys. I'm sure you guys know. If you don't know, our last name is Kalogermitros, classic Greek name. And so, every Greek and his brother has some restaurant or some affiliation to a restaurant or a catering company or food truck. And so I thought it was a great idea. I thought it was something that we can do. And I guess that's kind of the start of it, we started out in a little 5,000 square foot warehouse that my dad and my 2 uncles owned right next to one of our restaurants in Albemarle. They, it was essentially empty. They used it for storage for some items and equipment from restaurants they'd opened and closed. And so we kind of used that as our first little warehouse. We had a little bit of rent that we paid our family, and we bought what little inventory they had in a little box truck, and that was the beginning. We went to Office Depot. I remember we picked up a laptop, a QuickBooks wholesale edition, because we were so green behind the ears. It's insane. I didn't even know what industry or what even type of software we should use. There was a manufacturing and wholesale edition, and so I figured that was it. So a laptop, a QuickBooks. We bought a printer, and we set up shop. I think first in my room in my parents' house in Rockwell, and then we quickly realized, that we were kind of tight on space there, so we moved to my cousin John's basement. They had an extra room down there, so we kind of set up shop, and found some old cabinets and found a desk that our parents had. I mean, it was really kind of putting things together, a little hodgepodge of furniture and of a whiteboard and some basic things like that. So. But that was kind of the start. That was a lot of fun. I mean, now it's a lot of fun looking back. At the time, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of hard work, and we really didn't know exactly what to do. I didn't know anything. Today I run more of our sales division and make sure that our company grows. My cousin John does mostly all operations, purchasing, things there at the warehouse, in the office. So I didn't know the first thing about sales. I didn't know anything about, we didn't know anything about, logistics, trucks, routes, deliveries, banking, anything. I mean, it just was, we were a little green behind the ears, but, it was a good learning experience for sure. So anyway, co-host, any questions you got for us?
So early on, I guess, starting your business, how did you make that transition from basically into entrepreneurship? How did you switch over that mindset? Because obviously there's a different mindset in being an entrepreneur. So what were some of the things that maybe helped you transition, or what were some of the hiccups that you ran into?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess growing up in an entrepreneurial family, I guess I saw how, I saw the businesses took time. I knew nothing was going to happen for a couple of years. I knew that it was going to take a lot of work ethic to get the ball off the ball rolling. I mean, I now, running the business now for 11 years, I realize that it's kind of like a boulder on flat ground with no momentum, no inertia, nothing, and you've got to get the ball rolling. You've got to push. You have to. It takes so much effort to get the ball rolling, especially in the beginning. Because it was just us. It was just us two. We didn't have money to hire employees. I mean, we did everything. We took the orders. We did the sales. We did the deliveries together. We went to the bank. I mean, it was just, we kind of just were trying to figure it out. But I remember talking, I think, to my dad one time, and he just had told me, I think, just to make sure that we're patient, that it'll take time. Things will develop through time and through years of work. And now looking back, it was right. I mean, it probably took us a good 3, 4, 5 years of some real effort to really, I mean, we grew every year, but you have to think a lot of that money was going back into the business. A lot of the money was going back into inventory. Whenever we're selling an order to a customer and we're making $50, $70 on the order, $100 maybe, that's going back into excuse me, the purchase of more products, so we could get the price down to create a little bit more margin, to be able to sell it again, create a little more profit. And so that definitely took some transitioning. Obviously we weren't making any money in the beginning. I mean, I remember we weren't making anything. I remember us making barely anything, a few $100, $500 a month, and remember us working at our parents' restaurant in the evenings. We were working all day with our paper company, trying to get that thing going, and then working in the evenings and the weekends at the restaurants to pay our bills. But I mean, that's like when I've looked at every entrepreneur's story, it was something similar. In the beginning, there was no there wasn't a ton of money being made. You know, there was some risk. There was some, you know, out there was some doubt. You really didn't know 100%, but you know, you kind of had faith that all right, like this is going to pan out. This is going to work out. You know, and I remember even a couple of years in. My dad, my uncle, they would just come and be like, all right, like is this gonna pan out? I mean, you know, you guys have been doing this for 3 years now, 4 years now. You know, what's happening? And you know, John and I could feel the momentum building. We could feel us picking up some new customers, and we could see some new routes developing, and we could, you know, every year we were learning new things, more about the industry, more about, you know, purchasing, more, I mean, just a lot of stuff like that. So it definitely took a mindset shift. You know, I had to change my perspective. I had to be patient. You know, it takes a lot of work ethic, but I just knew that nothing was going to happen in 6 months or 12 months or 18 months. And so yeah, that was kind of, you know, that was kind of the, you know, the mindset, you know, some hiccups that we had. I'm trying to think. I mean, you know, I guess being green behind the ears, you know, and like not really running any traditional businesses we didn't know. I remember one time we made some postcards, and it was like a flyer postcard. I forget where we got them done. I think maybe like a local company there in Albemarle, and we put like, you know, paper, you know, now open paper company. It was an introduction, and we were trying to promote ourselves to some of the local churches. And I remember I just went on Google and just typed in churches in Albemarle, and I think I printed out 100 of these. And I started writing. I went to Google and I just started writing these addresses for all these churches, not even knowing if these churches still existed, which is the funny part. And I think we sent out 100 of these little flyers to churches, and I think it cost us like maybe like $1 or $1.50 per postcard, per little, you know, promotional, and that's including the stamp, I think, and everything. But I remember us getting like, I don't know, 30 or 40 of them back in the mail because the address was wrong, or the church didn't exist anymore. And I was just like, this is a time that we didn't have that much, you know, money to be like, just it was just, I mean, I'm looking back and I'm like, wow, like what we probably should have had a little better move than that. So it was, you know, it was an interesting time. I remember, you know, all the desks, even all the desks that we currently have, you know, like right now, like you know, all my cousin John's desk, my brother George's desk, a lot of our staff in the office, a lot of those desks we just found or got for free. I mean, we literally, you know, kind of scrapped things together. You know, I remember our first, you know, I guess never working in a warehouse environment ever. I did not realize how cold it got in the winter, but it is freezing. And our first little warehouse was a little 5,000 square foot warehouse, and it had nothing. It had no bathroom, it had no door, it had no window. It just had 2 bay doors on both sides. And yeah, so after that first winter, we were so cold. I remember we had heaters under our feet. I remember we would have like thermal shirts that we would wear to work, and we would, like, you know, do emails and, you know, sales calls from our, you know, from our desk, from our office in the warehouse. And we were like, all right, that's it. We got to save some money. We have to build an office because this is insane. And I remember us saving a couple $1,000s and buying some you know, some wood and some, you know, various things. And we had found some windows that my dad had at one of his old restaurants that they had sold, and we used those windows. And he had some extra plywood in there that we used. I mean, we literally, you know, remember buying a fan from Lowe's for like $12. So we had a fan above us. And so, like, it was just like the most makeshift. It was hilarious, but it was awesome. We loved it. I mean, we got a little air conditioning heater for it. And yeah, it was fun.
What are some fun facts about Nick K?
Fun facts about Nick K. All right, let's see. I love to dance, so I love to I'm not a super shy person. I love to just get out there and have a good time. So that's an interesting fact.
Do you have a specific dance you like?
No, I just love to dance, man. I just love to, shake what my mama gave me. So, I think that was good. Let me see. Favorite food? Favorite food. All right, we are in the restaurant industry, restaurant business. Favorite food? I don't know if I have a favorite food. I like burgers. I like Italian pastas. Pizza's good. Obviously, Greek food is good. Challah. Mom's Greek food is good. It's pretty interesting. I like different types of food, but I'm not very curious. I mean, I'm pretty picky about my food too, right? So I'm not, I'll eat the same thing, a lot of times. I love chicken. I'll eat a lot of chicken. So that's an interesting fact. I love people. That's something cool. I mean, I guess I love to help people. I love to any way I can invest in the people, help them out, encourage them. I love doing that. Giving little tidbits of advice, which I think maybe is why this podcast may work out well, because it's just in my nature. I love to give back. I love to help, and so that's cool. Let me see, fun facts. I think that's it for right now. So we'll save some more fun facts for the future episodes.
A lot of businesses, they come and go every year. Especially a lot of smaller, startup businesses, stuff like that.
Yeah.
What were some of the things what makes your business, because you've been around for a while now, what differs you from a business that's long-term versus come and go business?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we did right was we definitely took care of the business. I see a business kind of like a little baby, right? You've got to take care of it. You've got to feed it. You've got to make sure it's healthy. And, and even in the earlier years, year 3, year 4, year 5, we're starting to get some traction. We're starting to get 30, 50, 70, 100 customers. We're starting to pick up a little bit. We never thought that it was payday or time for us to cash in, cash flow. I mean, when you talk to any business owner, having proper cash flow and healthy cash flow is probably one of the most important things on the survival of a business, and I think us making sure that the business always got what it needed. If the business needed and some investment, it got it. If it needed some pallet jack, or if we needed anything, an upgrade in software, if we needed anything of that sort. I remember early on we needed a van, a little E150 Ford work van, and I remember us shopping around for that and saving up for that. I think it was maybe $7,000 or something, whatever it was. And so we always just kind of kept reinvesting money back into the business. I've always heard, if you take care of the business will take care of you. And so that's something that we did, a lot of times in a lot of businesses. And unfortunately, a lot of people, especially in our industry, start a restaurant or a food truck or a catering company. And I think sometimes they don't have the mindset of, hey, let's keep investing back into the company. And that's vital. That is super important. There's been, even as of lately, the last couple of years, there's been times where, John and I have taken a couple steps back as far as our salaries are concerned to make sure that the business remain healthy. And so even to this day, this isn't something that only happens in the beginning. These are things, but we know that it's best for the company in the future, and down the road it'll pay off. Like it's the right thing to do. So, I think that's the difference between, I think, people that, have a long-term business. You have to keep reinvesting back into the asset. You got to keep investing back into the company, and it'll just produce a healthier and healthier business. And so, and then that gives you more leverage and more abilities to take care of the employees, for bonuses, for raises. Several years ago we got health insurance. We're offering health insurance for all of our staff. And so it just a lot of little things like that, that you can start doing once the business is healthy enough to do so. And so I think that's maybe the biggest difference, just in my opinion, of what I've seen, about having a long-term, sustainable, profitable business.
What were some personal habits that you took, either early on or later on, that kind of helped you to really succeed?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think probably one of the most important things, and like maybe it's not a habit, but something that I always keep in mind, and is accountability. We were just having this conversation, before we hopped on the podcast, but when I think as people, we're always gonna let ourselves down. I think it's really easy. It's kind of like why you have a gym partner, right? Like, you go to the gym with somebody because if somebody's expecting you to be there, you're going to show up, right? Like that, like it's the likelihood of you showing up is a lot higher if somebody's going to expect you to be there at 8:00 in the morning or, after work. And so I think having the accountability of having my cousin depend on me to make sure that I go out there and perform, because a lot of times it's, once you've reached certain pinnacles in business, it's really easy to, it's really easy to kind of get comfortable and, not grind as much. And I think, having that accountability that John and my brother and the staff is counting on us, the sales division, to continue to move forward. I like that pressure. I think that pressure actually helps me. But so I think getting in the habit of staying consistent with seeing new customers, shaking hands, always having my pipeline full, when it comes to the sales side, to making sure that, we're never getting stale, right? Like we're never getting comfortable. We're always in a position of growth. And so, cause I think in my opinion, sales is probably one of the most important things for a business. If you have sales, if you have new sales, even if you lose a customer or two, or even if a business goes out of business, you can still progress and you can still grow. But I think that's good. I learned a long time ago from some really successful business owners and entrepreneurs that investing in myself was important. And so, I read and invest in myself. I go to different leadership events and conferences, and I want to continue to hone my skills and be a better leader of men. So I think that's played a big role in just continuing to work on myself and being a better version of me. I think handling our finances within the company in a way that, if we need to, purchase, we've purchased several trucks. I think we have 4 big, box trucks, and then we have a couple. We have one smaller one, and then we have a couple of vans, and putting ourselves in a financial position that we could buy those and pay cash for them. That takes discipline, though, in the finance part of your business. And so I think staying disciplined and committed is something super important. So I think those are a couple of habits that I've really kind of pressed in on, delaying the good for the great. I mean, that was another one. Instead of going out and buying a lot of new stuff for myself personally, I knew I just, let me just delay right now to get the good things, in the future. Because I knew they were going to come. I had enough belief and confidence in my ability that I knew that with time that I would get mine. So I was just very patient though. But anyway, yeah. Last question, maybe.
For you, you had your cousin. You had your family was very much entrepreneur minded, business minded. For somebody that may be wanting to get into business, but doesn't necessarily have a family or friends that are business minded, what are just some, I guess, tips or advice to kind of help them either, one, be accountable to themselves, or help them, run a business without that actual support system?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'm thinking, listen, most people don't have a business, but I think a lot of people aspire to sometimes start a business. Probably one of the best things is I think it's probably a great idea to find maybe a coach or a mentor or somebody that has a successful company and learn from them, right? I mean, another thing is associate and be around other people that own businesses. I mean, start catching their mindset. I mean, if that's something that you want to do or aspire to, have somebody keep you accountable, and somebody like that, somebody that will put the pressure on you to perform. And so I think that'll be something that people should really think about, is find a group of, business owners that can teach and train them, and give them the proper mindset and perspective. And yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the best thing. I think so. So anyway, episode 1, Paper Trails, is wrapped up. Thanks so much for watching and listening to us. And so if you guys want, I don't know how we're going to do this, but keep listening, share it, subscribe it, however we do it. But, be on the lookout for episode 2. So anyway, you guys have an awesome day.